Mel, and I'm back to talk about Shadowhunters, episodes 315 titled To the Night Children, which premiered March 25th, 2019, and 316 titled Stay With Me, which premiered April 1st, 2019, both on Freeform. I just finished watching 316 on Netflix. It's April 2nd, so can't wait to talk about it. There's a lot I need to talk about. So huge spoiler, if you haven't seen the episodes already, please go do so first, and then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen. Take a moment to remind yourselves of those. We'll try to do this in 30 minutes. Again, it's a little longer than I usually plan, but there really is a lot I need to talk about, especially with 316. So let's start the clock and let's begin with what happened in these episodes. For episode reminders, for 315, it's the fact that we are getting the questioning of what the importance of having rules is about. We also get a little bit more focus on the Night Children, aka the vampires, and you also get Heidi's death. Spoiler alert right there. For 316, the episode reminder, I guess you could say, is dealing with Magnus's health. I mean, the promo definitely focused a lot more on that, I recall. So I'll leave it at that. Timeline-wise, though, for 315, it starts a day after the events of 314. So they even say in the episode that Jonathan had escaped a day ago. And the escape refers to what happened in 314. Now, with 316, though, it continues right where 315 ended, which was with Magnus on the floor having a seizure. So there's that. Most shocking moment of the episodes for 315, I'd have to say Heidi killing herself. I mean, technically she bit into Maya, which resulted in her killing herself in that way. So I guess you can kind of say that. But that was a shocker. I wasn't expecting that to happen. Thrilled, yet still a shocker. For 316, the shocking point has to be the fact that Clary managed to trap Jonathan in an institute cell when she portaled him away, him thinking she was helping him escape, and said she sends him to where he didn't want to go. So there's that. So first scenes for the episode. For 315, the first scene was Heidi giving a speech at a vampire party, but how it was their time to rule and to come out of the shadows, metaphorically. For 316, the first scene was Magnus, while he's having his seizures, he's thinking that he's having this perfect breakfast with Alec, and then he's dancing with him, and then it goes with him snapping back to the fact that he's having a seizure on the ground. So there's that. So episode storylines, let's go into that. For 315, I had 3 additional storylines happening in this episode. First one dealing with a vampire hunt. Second one dealing with a stronger bond that is between Clary and Jonathan, and the third one dealing with living arrangements for Magnus. So with the first one, the vampire hunt, long story short, Heidi stirs up trouble. She's playing double agents for both sides. We have Simon finding proof that Heidi's behind everything in Nora Kendall. That was the old classmate that she encantoed. And then we have a face-off between Maya and Heidi, which resulted in Maya drinking holy water and then taunting Heidi to bite her. And then when she does, since holy water is deadly to vampires, that's how Heidi kills herself. Stronger bond dealing with Clary losing herself in her actions and drawing closer towards Jonathan without her realizing it. She even goes very dark in her fight against Aileen, which Jace defends her against that. But it builds up Aileen's suspicion towards Clary. And then we have Jace suggesting that Clary go see the Silent Brothers, since things have apparently gone too far. Don't know why they didn't do that the first time she returned, to kind of get a clean bill of health in regard to the room, but I'm not the writer, so there's that. Living arrangements deals with Magnus moving into the Institute because he gave up his apartment to Lorenzo Ray in exchange for the magic transfer. We see Alec in the end asking to find a new place together with Magnus when Magnus has to leave in order to keep the rules intact. But then Magnus experienced headaches with more magic use, which leads to him having a seizure in the last scene, which I'll bring up again later. So with the storyline breakdowns for 316, we get 2 specific storylines, with one being Magnus's health. This leads to Alec trying to get Lorenzo to take back the magic he transferred into Magnus. Eventually, he does agree to do it. After some fight between Magnus on how he's contemplating how he can't or cannot give up magic. Second storyline is summoning Lilith. This is basically Clary creating a new rune to summon Lilith into the Malachi configuration box to question her about the runes. Find out that Michael's sword, Glorious, was the only thing known to break the connection between the two, and it was done when he stabbed Lucifer with Glorious. And then before they can get more answers, Jonathan intervened, and Lilith ended up escaping thanks to her seducing Cain to her side and pretty much him acting as her bodyguard with the Mark of Cain. So there's that. So in regards to the search for the Morningstar storylines, for 315, we have Jonathan running errands, which he mentions when he runs into Clary, and I'm assuming it's to find the sword. And in 316, though, we find out that he's pretty much questioned everyone that's on Merrick's list of potential buyers, only to be left with one Seelie name, which turns out to be Amara, which ends up being the Seelie Queen. So he goes to see her, and she's in her older form, and he makes a deal instead of her killing him, saying that I'll kill Lilith in exchange of you giving me the Morningstar sword. And it looks like she takes him up on his deal because he goes back to Edom to kill Lilith. Next storyline of investigation into the guard. With 315, we find Izzy is still trying to decrypt the data chip she found inside Greenlaw's stomach. And then 316, this is where she figures out that the Heavenly Fire secret off the books program that the Clave has is connected to Michael's sword Glorious, because Lilith, when describing the tale, had actually used the phrase Heavenly Fire when bringing that up. So there's that. So last scenes of the episode for 315, it was Magnus coughing up blood and starting to have a seizure, which is where the 316 continues from. And then the last scene for 316 was Alec telling his mother that he wants to propose to Magnus and he wants the family ring to do so. So there's that. So tidbits for 315, let's get into that. Where Luke is caught on camera talking to himself about the Shadow World when it's really Clary and Jace he's talking to, yet they're cloaked from the cameras. Though they don't really go much into that afterwards, because in 316, he's already in prison, to the point that he's getting visits from Maris, and then he ends up getting recruited by the Praetor Lupus by a guy named Scott, who tells him that his record has been clean, all the open cases have been closed, and his record is expunged. Also for tidbits is the fact that the Scion brothers couldn't help Clary, as they've never seen something so infused with demonic power before, which is just bullshit to me. But there's that. We also have Clary making the connection that Jace is the one who breaks her out of any trance that the rune puts her under, and has her leading towards the side of evil or towards Jonathan. So she thinks as long as Jace is with her or keeps her grounded, then she can break this influence the rune has on her. And then also we do see the Malachi configuration upgraded thanks to Izzy's bits of tampering. So there's that. Let's go to characters. There's a bunch of characters, actually. For 315, we do see the return of Aileen Penhallow, and she's very determined to kill Jonathan in revenge of what he did to her cousin Sebastian, but she wants to use Clary to do it. She's very, she wants details and reports that, like, she questions Clary about, like, well, if your brother was here, then why, like, she questions what happens to him. So there's that. Jordan Kyle, he's not shown, but it is mentioned that he is healing with the Praetor, so that's good. We do see Raphael again, because Heidi exposes his crimes to Alec, which forces Izzy to go back to arrest him, and he gets transferred to his holding on Idris, I believe, along with Griffin. He's also arrested for breaking the Accords due to Heidi's manipulations, so there's that. For Luke, we do see him ready to plead guilty for the Jade Wolf Massacre. He blames himself, so he feels him serving the sentence will be penance. We do see that get rectified in 316, but that's kind of where he was in 315. And then for Underhill, we do see him having a discussion with Magnus about him staying at the Institute only to, like, he was against it, only to realize that it was only temporary. It wasn't meant for him to be a permanent thing, since it's only supposed to be Shadowhunters that live at the Institute. So there's that. So for 316 characters, we do see Lorenzo Ray again. We find out about his jealousy towards Magnus, find out that he's over 300 years old. So we do see that. For Maris Lightwood, we do find out that she's the new owner of the Ouroboros Books and Antiques bookshop that was once Elliot's. So there's that. Maya is not seen, but she's mentioned to be with Jordan at the Praetor as he's healing up, so that's good. For Jonathan, we see him in an Institute cell in a straitjacket and chained up in the wall, chained up to the ceiling so that he can't hurt himself. So that's something there. For Simon, we do see him puking up Jonathan's blood after biting him. So it could be possible because of the demon blood inside Jonathan, and that's why he reacts to it. But now I'm wondering, does that mean it reverts his daylighter status and now he's just a regular vampire, or is it like once he's a daylight eater he's always a daylighter? So that's something there. But when Simon bit Jonathan, it looked like his blood was black, And then when Clary had the wound herself, it was regular blood wound type thing. So there's that. So Asmodeus, we don't see him, but we do hear mentions of him from Lilith when we learn that Asmodeus took Lilith's crown and used Magnus's magic to trap her in one room in Edom. I'm assuming her throne room. And this is when she was weak, just after she was banished to Edom by Simon's Marker Cain. So there's that. And with Cain, we see him again only to eventually turn on everyone to protect Lilith after she promised to bring his brother back, which is a sham, I'm telling you. So there's that. Let's get into runes, though. For 315, we do see the Aratsi rune once again used by Clary and Aileen. We also see a cloaking rune used by Jason Clary. So there's that as well when they go talk to Luke. For 316, we do see Clary create a new summoning rune to use to call forth Lilith, which also breaks through the magic that bound her to her own throne room. So there's that. And we do see the Aratsi rune again being used by Jace after his fight with Jonathan. So there is that. So let's get down to the nitty gritty of it. Let's talk about favorites. So 315, my top favorite was the fact that Maya killed Heidi by pulling off a move from Dean Winchester's playbook from Supernatural, specifically from episode 619, I believe. He consumes the thing that Eve is weak against, and then he taunts her to bite him. She does it, and she ends up ingesting his tainted blood, and it kills her, which is what Maya did with Heidi in this episode. I was so thrilled for it. I wasn't expecting it. So it was very great to see on screen Heidi die, because I was so over her. I wanted her gone. She was just causing too much trouble and problems, and it just frustrated even more how no one else could see what she was doing, and they were just blind by her manipulations. So I'm just glad she's gone. So that was like a huge favorite for me in that episode. Another favorite for me has to be the reunion between Izzy and Raphael, and just their words and confessions to each other was just so sweet. How they're acknowledging their past, and then how the fact that he got arrested, and how like he's trying to do penance himself for his crimes he's done. And it was just very sad to see them say goodbye. Because they did have a sweet, addictions aside, they did have a really sweet relationship between them. So there's that. Also, I like the episode parts where the questioning of the importance of rules was brought up. We do see it between Simon and Maya in regards to Heidi. Simon was more like, there could have been another way to stop her, and Maya was like, she's dead, the world is better off. And the way Simon argued it was very well done. And he does put into questions, like, if there's no rules, then how are we any better than her, who had broken the rules? So that was a great thing there. We do see another question being brought up when Alec was breaking the rules for Magnus to stay at the Institute, only for him to realize at the very end that he can't do that if he wants other people to follow the rules that he's supposed to be following. So he rectifies that as well. So it was great development there as well, which led to him asking Magnus to find a place together. Also, it was great to see the questioning of Izzy breaking the rules to have Raphael go free, but only to go back and arrest him to correct her mistake in letting him go. So it was great to see the rules being reinforced that way, despite how I wish that wasn't the case for him. But I like the fact that she was the one that had to remedy her mistake. So there's that. And then also there was a question of Jace admitting that he'll break the rules if it meant to protect Clary, and he'd do it over again, saying like anything is worth Clary for me, like he'd do anything to do what's right by her. So it was very interesting to see all the different characters on different parts of the spectrum when it comes to how they view the rules. So it's very interesting to see that debate going on. Another small favorite I did have as well for the episode was Clary calling Luke her dad, how she was pleading for him not to go to jail and just, she can't lose her dad type of thing. I'll put the actual quote on the screen above, but that was a really sweet one there. And then another favorite of mine was just Clary fighting with Aileen, or I guess sparring before things got out of hand. But I do believe her getting things out of hand was because she was channeling parts of Jonathan, not specifically the rune influencing her to be evil, but I think that was a part of Jonathan she was channeling, because like he felt that she was getting beat up on, so it could have been possible that he was like kind of like putting out the vibes of her to like fight back, let me tap in and fight for you type of thing, if that's how it works. But that's what I was thinking during the moment. So there's that. So let's move on to 316. So my favorite for the episode, well, first off, is the fact that this episode got very emotional for a few characters. First, we get actual tears from Alec, Simon, and Kane from like the simplest of conversations, and it was just so well done. You could, even the welling up of the tears in their eyes, you can tell like how sensitive the topic is for all three characters, and just how much they still push through it to get their point across. So that was really well done. I just wanted to point that out. But my first favorite would have to be Alec's speech to Magnus about how why he fell in love with him, and why like it wasn't because he was a warlock and that's why he fell in love with him, but because there was all these different other aspects that he is still like he would still have without his magic. I mean, if anything, wasn't Alec against getting involved with a warlock in the very beginning, so it's like that was like a deterrent at the very beginning. So it's like I really love that Alec didn't hold back with that speech. Alec's speeches in this episode was very impactful, so I really appreciated that. Another favorite of mine was Simon's pinky promise moment with Izzy. It was very cute, especially when she didn't know what a pinky promise was, and then just him showcases like it's the most sacred of vows a person can make type of thing, and she goes along with it. It was a very cute moment when they were in the sewers. So there's that, and then it got turned awkward very quickly when like they were done with making their promise. So, and their promise was to stay single forever, so that's not going to last very long between the two of them, but we'll see them try. So there's that. Another cute moment or favorite moment I had was between Luke and Maris when she visits him in prison. It was I like that because like he was telling her not to visit because he wants her to be happy and to move on. And she's telling him, but I am happy and I'll keep visiting you because she won't abandon him. And I really appreciate that. I hope that doesn't change when he's part of the Praetor Lupus now. But I just really like the dynamic between them. And then like her smiling at him was just like, it was great. So I'll leave it at that. So let's move on to top peeve moments. So I do have a bunch for both episodes, and this is kind of why I needed a little more time on the clock here. But let's go with 315 first. A peeve that I have written for it is the fact that Simon didn't call Clary about the Jade Wolf attack. This is a huge peeve of mine because they pretty much left it. They explained later on. Maya explained later on that she was busy worrying about Jordan and how he was doing at the Praetor Lupus, and how they were told by Luke that he will take care of it. Understandably so, but we do see a part of them waiting where Simon is outside the Praetor Lupus and he's just pacing. And I'm really ticked off with the fact, well, during that time of waiting, why didn't he call Clary to let him know what happened at the Jade Wolf? Why did Clary have to get a call from Luke from inside prison or inside the police custody to let her know about all of this? I mean, Simon, with one simple call while he's waiting for an update about Jordan, he could have told Clary, who could have told the Shadowhunters about not only the Jade Wolf massacre, but the fact that Heidi was behind it. That way, when Heidi showed up at the Institute to try to make a deal with Alec already knew, and he would have just kept her in custody and not have her leave to inflict more manipulations upon the rest of the Downworlders. So it just really ticked me off when I watched the episode that during all the time that you're waiting, I get it's a stressful time, and for Maya, that would have been like she's solely focused on Jordan and his recovery, and like reeling from the fact that her family is now killed off. And it's just like, why didn't Simon just take the few moments to make that call? I feel like so many things could have been avoided, or at least been realized a lot sooner if he made that call. Another peeve of mine that I had for the episode was Jace deciding at the very end of the episode to take Clary to see the Silent Brothers. Why didn't he go to take them or suggest that the moment she returned to them after being away with Jonathan? I mean, the moment that she got cleared bill of health, that she was all healed and everything and good, why not take her to the Silent Brothers the moment you know that this rune is doing something? Why wait a few episodes later to go do it when she starts exhibiting signs of not being fully there, if you were? So that kind of pisses me off there that you're suggesting it now as an option. I would have been like, no, do every possible avenue. Is this an option? Can I go see them? Can I go see this? And then it's like, okay. Then it's like, now they're able to see you. Then okay, bring it up. But if it's like, now you're just thinking of it, no, I won't accept that. And another peeve I had was Clary's hesitation to call for backup against Jonathan. Yes, they explain it later on in 316 how like she felt frozen in that moment when she was in his presence. And like it explains like, well, why didn't she? Because the whole time I'm watching 315 in that episode, I'm like, well, why the hell aren't you calling? I mean, Jonathan even pointed out the fact, and I love that he pointed it out, and he says like, shouldn't you have done that already when she threatens to call for backup? And it's just like, yes, Jonathan, point that out, because she should already do that. So it's like, yeah. So it's just like in the moment peeve there, which they do explain in 316. So I'll kind of let it slide, but I do appreciate him calling around on that. Now, my peeve for 316. I have major ones. This is why I'm so angry right now. Okay, the major peeve was the fact that they summoned Lilith. Why the hell would they summon Lilith, who's caused so much chaos previously, and you just managed to lock her away? You sacrificed a whole bunch. Do you imagine if Magnus find out and he realized that like him giving up his powers to stop Lilith's hold on Jace is now only a possible risk again with her being back on the surface? And it's just like, could you imagine that? Like, it'd feel like a sacrifice for nothing. But anyways, the way I'm pissed off about this specifically is because not only are you summoning Lilith when you just put her away, why would you risk such a thing to begin with? But also, if Clary was able to summon Lilith with a rune that she just created, and she is able to bring back the dead with another rune that she creates, with her special ability to create runes that don't even exist, yet you are telling me that she cannot do the exact same thing to break the bond between her and Jonathan. You honestly telling me that she cannot come up with a rune or think of a rune that could possibly nullify its effects, and then she could avoid this? Like, no. Especially when they brought up the fact that she can do that power specifically in this episode to bring Lilith back. It's like, no, okay, you remembered the fact that you could do this special ability. This is why you're different from all the other Shadowhunters. And you can't tell me you can't think of one to get yourself out of this own situation? No. I'm ticked off by that. So there's that, because now of your stupidity, you have Lilith roaming free again. So there's that. Another huge peeve of mine was the actual fight scene with Jonathan. Like, first, okay, the mechanics behind it, fight scenes are pretty cool. I like the choreography and everything like that. But just like, I was so frustrated with this one because, first off, why did Jace wait until after Jonathan was portaled away to heal himself? I mean, it wasn't like if he like broke his hand and he needed someone else to heal him, then okay, I can understand why you'd wait until the coast is clear for you to seek help. But like, no, he healed himself with the stele, with the rune on his stomach. He did it himself, but he only did it the moment the fight was over. It's like, no, if you are immediately in a fight and you're able to heal yourself, you do it immediately and you get back right into the fight. That pissed me off right there. Plus, also, did you ever notice that every time for certain fight scenes, if it's a bunch of good guys and one bad guy, they never show all the good guys fighting the bad guy at the same time? But if it's one good guy and a bunch of bad guys, they will show the one good guy taking on a bunch of bad guys at the same time. I mean, if for an example, just go back to Arrow episode 716, where Mia, aka Cat McNamara, did exactly that in the flash forward episode. I'm just saying. But you ever notice that? And that just pisses me off too, because then, yeah, just take advantage of the numbers, right? So there's that. I mean, yeah, it showcases the single one in the fight being powerful. They managed to outdo all the numbers against them. But anyways, I digress. But another thing that pissed me off though, pertaining to the fight, was why in the hell did Jace freeze up again in his attacks against Jonathan? I mean, I get that he can't do a kill shot towards Jonathan, because then that would harm Clary, obviously, but there are other ways to subdue Jonathan without killing him. You can knock him out for one. Clary could do something to harm herself that would transfer to Jonathan, like she did when he stabbed his leg in Paris. Stabbed her leg, which he got in Paris as well. I mean, also, why couldn't you sedate the guy? Have a needle or what? Maybe is there a rune that could maybe be used to sedate someone? Like, Clary could have created one right there, thrown it at him, and had him sedated, had him knocked out, and then like, okay, That's it, because that wouldn't transfer to Clary. And it's like, you could have done a whole bunch of other things to stop him, and yet you don't, because you're worried about hurting Clary. It's like, as long as you don't kill the guy, do whatever you want to him until you subdue him and lock him up or trap him or knock him out so he can't do anything, and then go deal with Clary. Right? It's like, I was so mad about that. And then like Simon comes in and thankfully he bites Jonathan, and then Clary still gets the bite wound itself. But at least it did something to Jonathan, right? And he did it to save Isabel. So that's a little something there for Sissy fans. But yeah, I felt so annoyed because there was a bunch of things they could have done during that fight scene to stop him. And then the less time they spend fighting him, they could have prevented Cain from being seduced by Lilith's fake promises, right? So it's just like, you managed to trap Jonathan, but now you let a greater demon roam free in their world. It's just like, it was such a huge thing. The peeve, it was just like, I was very frustrated with this episode. For this whole thing pertaining to what these Shadowhunters were doing, I was done. I'm done. So it's just like, the only highlights of the episode was Malik and then Luke and Maris. Pretty much the only ones I saw, because everything else it got on my nerves. So there's that. And because of all the questions I just put in 316 peeves, let's move on to random questions now. So 315, let's focus on that. Let's pull it back a little bit. So first question, we've seen Chase activate his pureblood angel powers during fights, especially when he's sparring. Can Clary do the same thing, or is her specialty with the extra pureblood angel blood in her only her ability to create new runes? Because that doesn't really help her unless she can do more runes that can help her in a fight. So there's that. Next question. Also, if Clary can create new runes, why doesn't she create a rune that cancels or erases the effects of the connection rune that she has with Jonathan? Again, I had that thought 2 weeks ago, or last week when I saw the episode, having it now in 316, and I'm going to keep having it until they tell me on screen that she's tried it, she can't think of anything, and that's it, and it eliminates that option. I mean, the fact that they haven't even brought it to questions like, oh, you can create these runes, why doesn't she try to create one that could maybe cancel out the effects of it? It's like, I'm waiting for that conversation. Also, next question, why isn't there an alert rune like on the Flash where they have the help signal that the team has when they need the Flash immediately and he gets the alert? Or what about with banks and their silent alarms? Why don't Shadowhunters have a rune for that? So when Clary's in situations like she was with Jonathan, and how she needed to call in for backup without letting him know that she's calling in for backup, activate the rune, and then like they'll pinpoint the location of the rune and then be there. There really should be a rune like that. Is there one? Did the books include one? I don't know, but I don't remember one being there in the books or in the show. So like, that's one right there. Random questions for 316 though. I really technically have two. First one, are the Iron Sisters an option to consult with about the connection room between Jonathan and Clary? I don't remember what happened to them in season 2. The last time I remember is seeing Sister Cleophas in the episode that Angel Eutherio was killed when Lilith was raised, I believe. I don't know. But is it an option to go to her? I hope so, because they really need some higher knowledge to help them out. And the next question. If Alec wasn't preoccupied with Magnus's situation, do you think he would have approved of the plan to summon Lilith? I hope he wouldn't be. I hope he would have been like, no, against the rules, absolutely not. But I feel like because Magnus was in this health scare, I think that's why they managed to do the Lilith summoning. Because if Alec was like fully in leadership mode, he would have been no on it. So there's that. But let's move on to predictions very quickly. Based off the promo for 317, it looks like we have Alec telling Jace that he plans to propose to Magnus that night. We see Izzy telling Eileen that she has someone on the inside to find answers, which then cuts to Simon being undercover in the Downworlder prison. I'm guessing to get answers about Heavenly Fire from the guards that are part of it, maybe. We also see him getting tortured, too. I'm kind of surprised he agreed to go in, since, like, this is going to definitely, like, scar Simon in some way after his experience in there. He's definitely not going to be so happy-go-lucky afterwards, for sure. And we also see Clary questioning Jonathan in his institute cell. So there's that. For the synopsis for the episode, it reads that Simon and Izzy team up on a secret mission to figure out what the Clave is hiding. Meanwhile, Clary is conflicted about Jonathan as the Shadowhunters try to get answers. Answers pertaining to what exactly, we won't know. But we'll just have to wait and see about that. But that's about it, guys. So what did you guys think of the 2 episodes? What did you guys like about it? What do you think is going to happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your own thoughts, theories, and predictions about what you think will happen next. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web quotes, GIFs, synopses, news, all that good stuff. All fun and place. Go check it out. I am behind. I will have to be up to date on that. WordPress account link for that is down below. Everything I post online is connected to WordPress. It's a little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress. So I got to get back to that as well. But otherwise, the next video I'll post for Shadowhunters is when 318 airs. So it'll be 317 and 318 featured in that one. But otherwise, guys, that's about it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. There is the clock. Hope you come back next time to see what they say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, everyone. Bye for now.